All right, hello, here we go. So, the midterm exams, if you recall, one of the questions was asking you to kind of do a soundtrack for your life and take half the music that you studied in class with me and then give me half the music that you wanted. It could be stuff we studied in class, it could be stuff that, you know, from wherever, maybe your roommate writes songs, who knows? It could be anything you wanted. And that was very, very cool for me, in part because I learned a lot about many of you. Thank you for sharing your stories and why music matters to you. That was very cool. Um, I'll tell you, I was also surprised and pretty pleased that much of the music that you guys chose, not much of it, but a fair amount of music that was chosen was actually from the 1970s. Who knew? So there was some Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Wonder and ELO, Electric Light Orchestra. Few people mentioned that. Van Morrison, um, Eagles, Jackson 5, Blue Oyster Cult. Very cool. Um, Probably a couple others. Anyway, it was great. But whether the music was music that I was already aware of or not doesn't really matter because I listened to what you picked as well. And you introduced me to some cool stuff. So thank you for that. It was great. Now, we're going to continue the second half of the semester, not entirely unlike the first, but we're going to do it through some videos. But this little project that we're going to do now, that I'm going to introduce you to today, is something that wasn't on the syllabus. And the reason for that is this. I had kind of been thinking about the project as a continuation of the playlist idea. And now that we're not, um, now that I saw what you did on the midterm, I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this project and I'm going to do it instead of the second half listening list. And the listening test, by the way, for the midterm, as a group, as two groups, you guys were pretty solid on that. So I thought, let's switch it up a little bit. All right. So in the idea of you doing a playlist for your life, now I want you to do an album cover of your life. So let's talk about what that means. And I will write this assignment down. You'll see it online and you'll see all the details and everything. So don't freak out about it or freak out about it. You know, do what you want. But here's the thing. An album cover for your life, you can do an album for your life as it's been up until now. You can do your life in the future as you see it, sort of projecting out from your days at Dean out into the horizon, whatever you want to do. Now, an album, so that we're clear, an album was one of those that was 12 inches circular, and it had usually 4, 5, 6 songs on each of two sides. I don't know why I'm using my hands, because I'm in my family room where I have a ton of albums. So you have an album here. Let's go with one of the best, Miss Aretha. All right. And you have an album, and this is the actual album where you have, 5 or 6. Maybe you can see from the grooves, maybe you can't, but there's 5 or 6 songs on each side. Okay. So you get 10, 12 songs on an album. That's the standard. But the album covers were very, very important, especially in the 60s and 70s. The album covers were extremely important, even into the early 80s, because A, we didn't have videos, so we couldn't watch our favorite artists. B, we didn't have access to, concerts. if you were a small town kid, a country kid like I was, going to a concert was not in the cards, for most of us. I mean, I went to one concert my whole life by the time I was your age, and trust me, it was a huge deal. All right, we'll talk about it later. But the album cover stood as informative, gave information about the artist, gave information about the music. Many times the lyrics to songs were printed on the album cover or on the liner sleeve on the inside. And the other thing it did was it showed you what artists look like. It showed you their photographs. And again, without video, without any kind of technology, you had one or two places on TV, like we've talked about, the Ed Sullivan Show, American Bandstand, where you could see your artists, but you saw one or two a week. That was it. And so you didn't always have an idea what they look like. So you'd get information, you'd get some visuals. A lot of times, especially in the early 70s, you got artwork. As psychedelia took over, psychedelic drugs, the whole psychedelic culture took over in the late 60s, artwork on album covers started to become crazier and more colorful and more conceptual, less literal. We'll get to that. So the album cover that you're going to do, you have to do a couple important things, but let me walk you through. Standard album cover had the name of the artist, the title of the album, and oftentimes a photo of the artist, all right? Sometimes it had the name of the artist and the name of the album and a photo, but the photo was only of the lead singer, not of the entire group. Okay, that happens. Sometimes it was the name of the artist, the name of the album, and then a sketch, not a photo. And sometimes it was a photo or a drawing of something that related to the title, but not to anything else. Okay? Sometimes it was just the name of the band. Sometimes it was a picture or a drawing that you're like, what? Mm-hmm. All right? And sometimes it was a picture of the artist, in bed with a mask, for example. Sometimes it was a picture of the artist where the lead singer's on a bicycle. You never know. Sometimes with a cat. Sometimes in water. Sometimes by the water. Now, album covers had the front and they had the back. And they tended to be different. The front often had a photograph. The back a lot of times would be more word-based, word information. A lot of times the back had photographs as well, but it tended to be more casual, more, lifestyle photographs. They'd show people in hats, smoking cigarettes, things like that, as opposed to the front cover where it'd be more formal. Now, this wasn't always true. Sometimes the front cover and the back cover were pretty much the same cover. And that was always a letdown because, again, the connection to the artist often came through the albums. So when you had a great band, this is my favorite Beatles album, by the way, Rubber Soul, we'll talk. But on the back, you had a little more information and some informal pictures, right? There's Paul with a cigarette. There's, I think, George with a hat. It's nice, right? Now, you also had albums where you had a front cover, a back cover, and the multiple picture motif. That thing was very popular. Let's just jam a bunch of pictures. That was very popular. But you also would have an inside. And in this instance, the band, who you would have no idea who it is because it doesn't say anywhere on here, it's Sly and the Family Stone, a great band from the late 60s, early 70s. And this was them playing in concert. So that was a way that certain album covers made their mark. Some album covers, right, are iconic, and they had this look on the front. They had some lyrics and stuff on the back, but the inside was devoted to nothing but art, just artwork. I don't know what it is either, all right? Some albums, you had the album cover, and the album back actually worked with the album cover and became a poster. Hello, and then you turn it around on the inside and Sheboygan. All right, I don't know what happened here. All right, some album covers, you got the cover, you got the back, but the inside is like a library loaded with information, right? Okay. Some album covers had photos and more photos and photos. Was all photos. Album covers can be whatever you want them to be. Some music for reading. Interesting. Little info on the back. They had album covers for bands that lasted for 20 minutes. And they had album covers for bands that were timeless and created some of the greatest music in rock history. Okay? They had album covers that came to be known just by the covers, and despite the fact that nowhere did it say Led Zeppelin. You just had to know. And album covers, again, are iconic and well known for lots of great music. So, hello, boys. I want you all to create an album cover of your life. I want you to name yourself, and you can use your own name, Ken Grau. You can make up a name, Dewey Rose. You can make up a band name, the Flossie Mulberries, right? You can do whatever you want. As for the title of the album, I wanted to have a title too. So the title, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. 4, Rumors, Up to Date, Music for Reading. Whatever title you want, your name, the title of the album, and I actually want you to construct it. Whether you use cardboard, whether you use construction paper, whether you do it virtually on a computer program and you simply draw it, doesn't matter to me. I want you to do the front cover. You can do the back cover, you can do inside covers, you can do individual tracks. What you have to do to complete the requirements of the assignment is the front cover. But the more you do, the more points you're going to get, because the more you will demonstrate your investment in the project, okay? I'm getting sick of me too. It's 13 minutes and 6 seconds, okay? But there's lots of great album covers. So that's it. That's that project. This is your introduction to it. And I'll be seeing you virtually in the next video before too long, okay? See ya. Be creative.